Why did we go there? Why did we go there?
We were used. We didn't question, we just did it.
A lot of things they done to us was inhuman, because they could have found out from Nagasaki, Hiroshima.
H minus 10 seconds.
You got cancer.
9,
Tumor in the brain.
8,
Lung cancer.
7,
Leukemia.
6,
Oh, I'm sorry. He's passed away.
5,
They told us
4,
everything was safe.
3,
Everything we did
2,
would have no effect on us.
1,
Little did we know.
0.
Little did we know.
I was asked to volunteer. There was forms we had to fill out, and these were all for you to be cleared to top secret, because we were all cleared top secret while we were down there.
We had to put in for a security clearance. We were subject to the National Defense Act of secrecy.
We all wondered, why are we doing this if we don't know where we're going? They're not telling us where we're going.
In July 1957, 40 soldiers from the Queen's Own Rifles Regiment were selected by the Canadian government for a top-secret mission. Barely adults, Jim Huntley, Kenneth Umferville, and Robert Henderson were about to live through an experience they would never forget.
When they opened the door of the plane, we could not believe the heat. And then they loaded us onto, I think it was buses they took us out with. It was about 2 hours, maybe a little more, 2.5 hours probably driving out. This is all dead, this country. There is nothing here. We thought, boy, what are we into here?
They were entering the Nevada test site. Located 100 kilometers northwest of Las Vegas, this restricted access area was established in 1951 for the testing of nuclear weapons. The boys thought they had been picked for an elite training camp, but like their fellow American soldiers, they were marching into a massive outdoor laboratory.
Gentlemen, I want to welcome you to Camp Desert Rock.
There was an instructor from the American Army there. He gave us an introduction to what to expect in the environment that we were going to be working with. And he explained to us that it was a weapon. It was an ordinary weapon, not to fear it. But in this weapon had 3 different characteristics. That was blast, heat, and radiation. He said to us at that time that the radiation was the least of our problems, and he took a handful of dirt and held it up, and it came down, and he said, Mother Nature will look after that.
And we thought, well, boy, this is interesting. The blast will kill us, and the heat will kill us, but the radiation won't touch us.
We believed him.
First day we went out, we were introduced to the area. Certain features pointed out, Yucca Flats, Frenchman Flats. And in between the two is a small rise of hills. And on there is a control center.
They took us out there to see a bomb go where we would be sort of out of harm's way, really. I think it's probably 14 miles away.
They'd start a countdown about a half an hour before, and then they would give you 20 minutes, 10 minutes.
H minus 1 minute.
Then they start counting down 10, 9, 8.
We were to about turn,
7,
put our arm over,
6, 5,
Breathing hard.
4,
it's as vivid today as it happened yesterday.
2, 1, 0.
I could see through my arm. I could see through the gentleman's head behind me. I could see the fillings in his teeth. And I could see the mountains in the background.
And when you turn around, there's just this fireball going up in the air like you wouldn't believe.
I was awestruck.
You just couldn't say a word. You were just there looking.
I was scared.
When this goes off, it's a miniature earthquake, and you feel the shockwave coming at you.
We watched it coming across the desert, knock things over as it was coming to us. And when it hit you, it was just like a big shockwave, like a big boom.
We were hit by that first gust of wind from the explosion, and then the suck back. And we were a long ways away. That was our first experience to an atomic detonation.
(1957), the height of the Cold War. The tension between the Soviet Union and the U.S. is reaching its highest point. North America is getting ready for the Third World War, a nuclear war. The nuclear arms race now includes the United Kingdom, France, and China. Canada doesn't want to be left behind.
1957 was an important year for North America because it was the first time that Canada committed itself so deeply to the defense of North America and so to the defense of the United States. Canada's policy has always been very clear. When the Americans want something, we always agree to provide the minimum of what they ask, but never the maximum they hope for. In this case, we didn't succeed very well, but the principle was always the same: cooperate closely to have access to their research results.
The most crucial research of the time is Operation Plum Bob. Between May 28th and October 7th, 1957, 21 laboratories and government agencies were involved in the most controversial nuclear test series in the history of the United States of America. Tests on all sorts of structures were made. Biomedical studies were conducted on thousands of animals. The experiments also included men. The military wanted to find out how the average foot soldier would behave close to an actual nuclear blast. Would they respond to commands or simply panic? The Canadian soldiers were about to play war games with nuclear bombs 4 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima, less than 1,000 meters away. July 25th, 1957. 5 a.m. The soldiers are brought to the danger zone.
We always figure they know what they're doing. We're not going to get in an area where we're going to get too much radiation or get any radiation, we figured. But when we got closer and closer to the bomb, we thought, well, this isn't going to work because we're going to get radiation here. I never had an idea that we'd be getting close as roughly 1,000 meters from the bomb.
Soldier does as he's told. That's what he was told to do. Whatever the consequence, a soldier does what he's supposed to do.
May I have your attention? Remain in your holds until the command raise has been given at H plus 3 seconds. If you stand up too soon, the intense light will temporarily blind you, and the heat will give you the equivalent of a severe sunburn. It is now H minus 2 minutes. Everyone kneel down in your foxholes, look down, and stay down. H minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
After receiving massive doses of neutron and gamma rays, they are ordered to walk towards their fictitious enemies. But a very real threat is settling on them. Fallout.
Fallout consists of particles. These particles are radioactive. They include such things as beryllium-7, americium-241, curium-242, strontium-90, and so on. So the body absorbs these materials, and you can inhale them or ingest them. Sometimes it goes into the bones, sometimes it goes to other sites in the body. But these materials can stay with a person for a long period of time. These are not good things to have in your system. They were trying to develop the perfect atomic soldier, someone who could fight even after receiving lethal doses of radiation.
The human experiment lasts nearly 2 months. The soldiers are subjected to 6 nuclear blasts. Each bomb, a different maneuver. Each time, fighting a fictitious enemy on a very real nuclear battlefield. When they leave Nevada on September 5th, it is understood they will not talk about their experience.
They never ever talked about it. Nobody ever mentioned it after we came back.
The silence surrounding the experiment would not last forever. In 1978, an American soldier who was at the atomic testing sued his government, claiming his cancer was caused by radiation. The veteran accused authorities of using him as a guinea pig. Learning Canadian soldiers were involved, journalists sought those men.
So they phoned me and they asked me for an interview, and of course I refused the interview. I hung up. I was at home. I got a call from a captain in the Navy, and he said, "I understand you've been talking to the press." And I said, "No, not really." Well, he said, "I have grounds to believe you were." And I said, "No, the press were talking to me." And he said, "Well, we'll deny it anyway." So that attitude.
Pressure was mounting in the U.S. In 1980, a study requested by the American government found significantly elevated rates of cancer amongst the soldiers. No such conclusion was made in Canada. concerning its nuclear veterans.
We would be delighted to talk to anybody who is worried, delighted to reassure them, to allay any fears that they have. But I can state that as we know it at the moment, as we understand the subject, there should be no need for any Canadian to be worried that he was exposed to radiation during the testing.
No need for any Canadian to be worried that he was exposed to radiation during the testing. But the soldiers had been exposed to 6 bombs. One of them had a yield of 44 kilotons, 4 times Hiroshima. And since 1945, the devastating effects of radiation have been common knowledge.
If a person is exposed to a nuclear detonation, it increases their risk for cancer, damage to the immune system, a number of things. Now, cancer is among the diseases that has a latency period. In other words, you may be exposed to the initial hit of radiation. It may be years and years and years before you develop the cancer. So in many ways, this could be a time bomb effect.
The clock had started ticking in 1957. Little by little, the soldiers began to feel the insidious effects of radiation. Dry mouth, breathing problems, severe arthritis. Like many, Kenneth Umfreville lost all his teeth.
Never dawned on me that I was carrying around one load of radiation. That didn't dawn on me. It didn't dawn on me until the fact that I come down with lung cancer.
Kenneth then lost half a lung. For Robert Henderson, a lifetime of suffering was ahead.
The common problems that the veterans who were in the atomic testing have are 1, cancer, 2, heart, 3, lung, and 4, arthritis. I've collected them all.
It wasn't just the soldiers themselves. There were also the miscarriages and children born with birth defects.
Shortly after I came back from Nevada, we lost one child. And then when Robert was born, he was born with chronic kidney defect. Since that time, Robert has had a series of operations in different hospitals.
Both of my daughters have had cancer, as well as myself. Now, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
It was obvious radiation was affecting the soldiers. Washington admitted fault and agreed to compensate those who contracted cancers and other radiation-related diseases. More than 1,000 American soldiers got a $75,000 settlement. Though responsible for its own veterans, Canada wasn't doing a thing.
Every other country within 10 years started to realize that there were medical problems coming up from these people who were on the tests. The Canadian government has never acknowledged it. Has never acknowledged it.
A few Canadian survivors of the atomic testing were to begin the battle of their lives. Canada didn't have the means to match its great military ambitions, and its men were paying a heavy price for it. Something had to be done. In 1995, Kenneth Umfreville and Jim Huntley founded the Canadian Atomic Veterans Association. They decided then and there they would fight for their suffering comrades and the widows and families of those who were already gone.
Dear Minister of Veterans Affairs, we are a few remaining Army personnel who survived the atomic bomb testing which occurred in Nevada desert in the late 50s.
Our goal is to be recognized by our government and let the people know that the government sent us there.
Well, you see, what we've requested from the government is recognition. The other thing is we've asked for compensation.
They sent us there in harm's way, and they knew this. We have people dying. We have 4 or 5 right now that are going in for cancer operations. We're all down there and went through them 6 bombs.
We, the Canadian atomic veterans, asked the same consideration as the chemical warfare veterans and asked for your help in obtaining...
I, like so many who have served their country, wish our country would serve us.
In the last 15 to 20 years, we have wrote letters after letters to the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Veterans Affairs, the Prime Minister, also the Governor General. And they were all a letter sent back to us saying it's been passed on to the next department.
How many members of Parliament have we spoken to? How many different parties have spoken to us about what they were going to do? They were going to light the biggest bonfire on this matter. They didn't even pull out the lighters. They didn't do a thing.
Forgotten by the government and the army, the atomic veterans decided to build their own monument. 4,000 kilometers away from Ottawa's priorities, they put up a plaque in Turner Valley, nearby Calgary, to serve as an eternal reminder of the contribution they made in the shadow of the bomb.
Our plaque here was put on there to commemorate our lost brothers and whatnot. And I might add, it's the only plaque put on a cenotaph anywhere in Canada. We did ask our Prime Minister, Jean Chrétien, at the time to come out here and help us unveil the plaque. He did not come out, and nor did he send a delegate out. We would have accepted the delegate, but he did not send that out. And I understand the next day he was talking to a bunch of school children in Calgary.
That shows you something that they think, you know, of veterans and the atomic veterans. None of the Canadian government gave a damn about it. It's getting to me that pounding your head against the wall all these years to get some answers or something, that I'm feeling like walking away from it all and getting this off my mind instead of always thinking that we're going to go somewhere or get some recognition when we're not going to. It's a lost cause. It's something that the government can keep going for a long time, and the more they keep it going, the less there's going to be around if they finally do come up and say something. But they say there's only 10 of yous around. We'll wait a few more years, there may be only 5 around. And then maybe only 2 around. Hey, next year there's none around. It's gone, it's under the carpet.
One man could help them in their battle, Lawrence Devereux. This British veteran had made his own government listen. In the mid-50s, Lawrence was sent to Australia for nuclear tests. Later on in life, he was struck by a very rare form of cancer and had to have a leg amputated. After a 25-year tug-of-war with the British administration, he received compensation.
Governments use people when they're needed to defend the country. The young men give their lives and their health to it, and then like broken sticks, they're thrown away.
Volunteering to help them in their struggle for justice, he takes part in the Atomic Veterans Annual Meeting.
I won my case, and I'd learned a lot, and it was too good of a thing to keep to myself, and it wouldn't be fair.
And I honestly think that if we get recognition, that's the government saying, yes, they sent us down there in harm's way. Compassionate pensions may come in effect, I don't know. But there may be something that these widows, that their husbands are in the ground now, they have no leg to stand on now.
The government is not going to do anything. Whatever we have to do is going to have to be done by us right here. The only thing governments ever listen to is basically legal arguments. The case has to rest on certain pillars. You have to have a number of pillars that a case rests on, right? And if your argument, if you don't have the statistics, the medical report, and so on, these are the pillars that the case stands on. Before anything else, you've got to get the statistics. You've got to find out who's dead and who's alive. And until you do that, you and I individually, it's not going to go anywhere. What do you folks want to do?
There is a lot that has to be done, but right now I think we should just deal with our gathering the information where these people are. Let's leave James do what he has to do, and we'll fight it out at the end.
All in favor?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a toast to the atomic veterans and to pledge today that we will not quit until we get our recognition and our compensation.
You're here.
To the cause.
The veterans now have a new plan to make Canada listen. They will have to get statistics on the veterans' health, find documentation on the 1957 mission, build their case, and put the evidence to the authorities face to face. But how do you find guys you haven't seen for 50 years? First, they go to their old battalion, the Queen's Own Rifles. No information on the soldiers or the atomic testing. Then they knock on the door of National Defense. No records. The Veteran Affairs Department. Nothing. Jim finally gets hold of a list of names, handed over by someone who wants to remain anonymous. At last, something to work from. The search begins.
Hello, it's Jim Huntley calling here, and what I'm trying to do is locate Dennis McConnell. Hello? Is this a reward?
No.
No. I'm trying to locate a Patrick Koulis who served in the Queen's Own Rifles. He went through the atomic tests in Yucca Flats, Nevada. Oh, he passed away 2 years ago from leukemia. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, he's passed away.
Yeah.
Did you have a medical report on what was wrong with him?
No, I don't. No.
Bennett is dead. Bill, he has health problems. Bridgman, not healthy.
He committed suicide.
You gotta be kidding.
He had tumor in the brain.
Tumor in the brain.
He didn't want to suffer, I guess, so he shot him.
Jesus. Well, I know. Lloyd is dead. McDonald is all right. McIntosh is dead. Muse, he has health problems.
I got 6 months to live.
6 months to live? You gotta be kidding. What?
I got cancer.
You got cancer?
Yeah, I'm gonna live. I'm gonna take chemotherapy and then I might live longer. Right?
Taylor has cancer. Wilson, we haven't found him. Warner is dead from cancer.
The statistics are staggering. In the list of soldiers Jim has found, 4 out of 5 are sick or dead. And the number is growing fast.
It's very important to keep in mind that this is very non-specific, but it is concerning for your history, that we take this quite seriously and make sure we qualify as best we can through whatever means are appropriate what exactly is happening in this region here.
When I'm looking at this picture now, my doctor called me and he asked if I could come in, and he wanted to discuss the result of x-rays that I had taken previously. He told me that he had found spots in an x-ray that he had taken on my chest some time ago. I don't want to worry about it, because worrying is not going to help.
It is confirmed. Kenneth's cancer has come back, this time in his left lung. The veteran will have to have another operation. Same diagnosis for Mr. Henderson. This will be his second operation for cancer.
I feel that the government, I feel the military, and I feel the Department of National Defense are all guilty of sheer neglect. I often wonder about myself and those who came back from there, how much radiation our bodies absorbed. A lot of unanswered questions that somebody within the military, the government, knows all the answers to.
This is what Jim is now looking for. When the guys were in Nevada, their exposure to radiation was measured every day by little dosimeters placed on their uniforms. The government must have these records and some information on the mission. Again, the Defense Department claims to have no info. The last hope, the Access to Information Law.
Ottawa. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Huntley?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Captain Pierre phoning from Access to Information.
How are you?
Good, yourself?
Well, not bad, except I'm a little perturbed here. We're getting no action on this thing I sent in.
The first information that I got is that we didn't have anything at all.
But I don't understand how they would throw stuff like this away.
I think I might be able to get something somewhere. Legally, we have no choice. On the 27th, we either have to let you know that we are going to be legally late, or do we have to go for extension for such and such a reason. Yeah.
In Canada, the Access to Information Law requires all government agencies to provide any existing documentation for citizens who request it within 30 days. But information about nuclear weapons and military strategy are not routine requests.
Canadians are even more secretive than the Swiss. It's very difficult to get hold of any information about nuclear matters, particularly where both Canada and the United States are involved. I wish you luck, but I don't think you'll succeed.
In 30 days, Jim receives his documentation.
The information we got was a bunch of names, nothing that I've asked for, just a whole pile of names with nothing behind it. So that's all we got. So you can say we got nothing. And no explanation, just that that's all they would give us.
Several attempts to get an explanation from the Defense Department failed. They said no one knew about the Plum Bob mission. After many refusals, Dr. Steve Harris, the department's chief historian, offers an explanation for the missing records.
I don't know whether it's a case of records not being kept or I don't know. If records can't be found, it may be that people are looking in the wrong place, under the wrong terms, or they're not there, but I don't know. I suppose the cheap and easy answer is to say the smoking gun is found when the smoking gun is found. And if a smoking gun, hard evidence of this or that, took 16 years to find, it took 16 years to find. But when you find it, it's found. It's like saying when you lose something and then find it again, you found it in the last place you looked.
Jim follows his plan to gain recognition and compensation for the victims and for their widows. The next step is to get Ottawa to look into his case. The government doesn't seem to have info about the nuclear testing. Well, Jim has some info. The statistics he gathered about his colleagues' health speaks volumes. He sends his file to his MP, Myron Thompson, but nothing happens. So he goes to see him.
Well, all the information you gave me is now in the hands of the Defense Minister and the Veterans Affairs Minister. And they're now in the process of doing what they do. And I can't really explain all that they do, but...
No, but we've been going for years at this and never getting an answer. And always saying, yes, okay, we'll look into this. Do something about it. And they pass it back and forth.
Yeah.
I talked to 6 of our members I found yesterday. Out of that 6, 4 have cancer right now.
Like, I don't even profess to know what determines whether the cancer came from the radiation or...
No, I understand that.
You know, I have no idea there, but I have to trust that they'll come up with the right answers.
Yeah.
And I do. I trust they will.
How long is it going to take?
It's going to take as long as it's going to take. As
You know,
Yogi
like-
Berra says, it'll be over when it's over, so...
It's been almost 4 months. Still no answer.
Nobody got back to me, so I just thought I would phone.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
I know it's in the office there, and I'd like to find out what's going on with the Canadian atomic veterans. And we want some answers.
I guess you have to appreciate that the Prime Minister has 101 issues coming at him. It's going to take a while for him to consider this.
Well, you know, the thing with me is it's been 50 years. It'll be 50 years next year. Okay. It's been probably 15 years that we've been after them.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're trying to get answers, and everybody sort of keeps putting these walls up in front of us.
We were forgotten. Purposely, I don't know. I certainly hope not. I'll die before anybody has an answer.
How ironic. Today is Remembrance Day. This year again, the atomic veterans will be forgotten.
60 years after the first American test, nuclear test veterans are still waiting for justice. Air combat was not against an enemy you could see, or bullets that could be felt, but a silent, invidious killer. Warriors tearing around the Nevada desert in the shadow of the rising column of death never knew that the Grim Reaper was riding the very air they breathed. They never knew that their bodies were being changed, like mine, their immunity compromised, not just cancer, but nasty little diseases. While no amount of money can compensate for premature death or a life lived in pain, pensions and recognition would go some way towards making life tolerable. Let us pray. Shall we bow our heads for a moment of prayer? Lord God, we remember the sacrifice of those who gave their lives and health.
The association has asked me to go and talk to a lawyer, and we want some advice on what we can do.
Well, I think that the defense minister should be approached through an office of a lawyer, and I'm prepared to do that, to write them and ask if they're prepared to entertain accepting some responsibility for the exposure of the veterans.
Okay. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to talk to the people in the association and get their okay. Well, the lawyer sort of, he called me up and he said, Jim, come on down. I'll have the letter ready for you and you can get it. But when I walked in the office, he decided that he really didn't want to do this anymore. And he figured this was very political. And I said, and I've told him that from the start. I mean, it's with the government, it's got to be political. It can't be anything else but that. I'm getting fed up with getting nothing. I'm thinking maybe of calling it quits. But every time I do this, I look in the mirror and say, well, if I call it quits, they're just not going to do anything. It'll all be finished then. So we got to keep going. No matter what happens, we still got to go forward and try to get compensation, recognition, and pensions, if possible, for the people that require these. What we got to do is go, 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 go. We can't quit.
We can't be quiet about this whole thing. We got to get louder.
You're right. I don't think they're going to do anything until they're pushed to do it. And we have to get it out.
They decide to go public with the whole story. The plan is to hold a press conference on Parliament Hill. The government won't have a choice but to face the problem. 2 weeks before the event, Jim receives an unexpected phone call that will change his plans. And guess what? It's the National Defense Department.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Huntley. Yeah, nobody's returned my phone calls. How are you doing, sir? Not very good. Okay. We have got no answers from nobody. Nothing has come through. My understanding is you're coming to Ottawa in February 23rd. Is that correct? We are planning on going down on the 26th. Okay, this is just... Where did you hear from this? I heard this through the grapevine. Okay. Okay, well, the minister would like to meet with you personally, sir, and discuss these issues. Okay, where would we meet him? Most likely in our office here in Ottawa.
They know for a fact that we were coming to Ottawa for a press conference with journalists, which would bring everything out. Plus, the other thing is they know the documentary is going to be coming out. So no matter what they're doing, it's going to be there. It's going to be in front of them.
50 years after the nuclear testing in Nevada, the government finally acknowledges the atomic veterans. They will meet the minister face to face.
I'm excited with the meeting. I don't know what the minister is going to say to us, but I'm not thinking everything's going to be good, really.
I think it's a bit of faith-saving. I don't know how concerned they really are. Whether it's public relations serious, or if they actually are concerned. Those of us who came here are desperately hoping that something good will come out of this. And I say desperately hoping.
The Department of National Defense. For 15 years, nobody would listen to the veterans. But now, they will have a face-to-face meeting with the top guy, the minister himself. And for the occasion, the Defense Department brings out its heavy artillery. 10 of the highest-ranking Army officers in the country welcome the veterans. Unfortunately, no cameras are allowed. After an hour-long meeting, the Minister of Defense finally agrees to be interviewed.
Now that we have that information, we're going to try to resolve this issue as quickly as we can. I've got to confer with members of my government to see what we can do, but this is an outstanding issue that needs resolution. All right.
He says he can't give us a timeline right now. His assistant, or one of his assistants, told me he'd keep me informed of what was going on. I have to be hopeful that something is going to happen.
There's been 50 years of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I think it's unfair that we'll wait one more day. For some of us, it's going to be too late.